Hey, it's your favorite fucking ninja, Apex Sapien. I'm here to teach you some real instructions so you stop getting this improper advice from all these random gurus. Right? Let me tell you something about today. Today is the land of people just giving advice to people. And let me tell you something. I made a video a long time back. Advice does not help you. Advice is useless because advice is coming from somebody who experienced something with different variables. And they are not you. So I can't advise you on what to do. Now, I can give you instructions. Instructions are very valuable. Instructions are a set code of conduct or proper steps and procedures you should make to get a desired outcome. But advice is just open, loose-ended nonsense that typically doesn't do anything besides make you feel good in the moment. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the difference between advice and instructions and how you can stop getting bamboozled by all these self-help gurus. Number one, you guys got to understand, advice and instructions are not the same thing. See, too often in life, people try to take the easy way out. And when you take the easy way out, all it does is create more havoc and more problems for you in the future. So what you need to do in this particular life is learn how to differentiate between people who are running game on you and people who are giving game. There's two different quotas, I guess you would say. See, when people are running game on you, they are trying to influence you or advise you to do something that benefits them in a manner. That's why typically when people give you advice, they don't tell you what the outcome is going to be. They just say, well, this is what I would do if I was you. Well, what good does that do me? You're not me. I'm not you. We're not in the same circumstances. We live two totally different existences, a bunch of different variables. How is that supposed to help me? And most people don't get that idea because they like to hear advice because advice sounds good. It's fucking called flower language. So you got to understand, you got to differentiate in this life. There's flower language and then there's 1+1 language. 1+1 gets you to 2, 2+2 gets you to 4, and you can build upon 1+1. With the flower language, you really can't do anything. It just sounds good coming to your ear. It's kind of like music. And what I know in a lot of young people is that they've been talking in flower language because nobody ever teaches them how to give them instructions. Not a lot of good educators out there. There's a lot of teachers, but not a lot of good educators. And so what's been occurring is we have a lot of people who are just confused in life because they get all this advice from all these different people, and this advice, it does nothing for them. So let me give you a couple of reasons why advice is really going to be your downfall and why you should probably just not even pay attention to it. So advice is very open-ended and it typically doesn't give you an expected result. For example, if somebody advised you, you should go buy into Shiba Inu coins. They're not telling you how much money you should put in Shiba Inu, when you should do it, how you should do it, what's your expected outcome, when you should pull. They just say, if I was you, I would spend my money on crypto. I would put my money in Shiba Inu. I would put my money in some Dogecoin. It doesn't help because they might have put their money in Shiba Inu or Dogecoin or Bitcoin, whatever, but they put it in a different time and period. They put it in with a different amount of money, and they have a different outcome. They expect something different than what you would expect. See, like for example, if somebody has $10,000 and they say, "Man, I would put some money in Shinu," well, what is some money? What does that mean? What if I only got $2,000 and you have $10,000? Should I put all my $2,000 into Shiba Inu? Probably not. That probably wouldn't be the smartest idea. And see, this is why advice is so dangerous because it's open-ended. So you'll mess around, listen to somebody, give you some advice like, "Man, you should definitely go date that girl, man. If I was you, I would date her." But not knowing that this girl probably doesn't really like you. She's probably using you for some dinner or using you as like to make another boyfriend jealous because you gave somebody some overview, which is not the complete overview because they don't know the true intricacies of what they're seeing when they're talking to you. So that you can only get so much information verbally. Somebody has to live your existence to actually understand what you're going through. This is why instructions are so valuable because when advice is given, advice is usually given as just a statement and is left to be interpreted. And see, all humans interpret data and information at different processing speeds and at different variables and just different intricacies because you're living different time periods. Like advice that I would give myself at 15 compared to what I would give myself at 25. If I told myself, "Hey, look, you should probably look into cybersecurity at 15, that's going to be a totally different input that I'm going to hear as opposed to if I hear it at 25 or if I hear it at 55. I'm going to look at different things. Like if you tell me at 55, look into cybersecurity, I might look at it as an investor. I wouldn't necessarily look at it as a worker, but I might say, "Oh, look, this might be something to put some money into." But if you tell me at 15, I might get on the computer, start hacking and start figuring out how I can steal from people. So when you give advice, advice is very open-ended. This is why I don't like to give advice. I like to tell principles of reality. Or I give you instructions. This is what you should do. This is when you should do it. This is how much you should get. Here's the clarification and the necessary things to do to go about this procedure so you can get X desired result. But most people don't look at life that way. Most people like to hear the flower language because it sounds good. And most people are slaves to what sounds good and what looks good. That's why so many people get fooled on the internet, because all you got to do is go rent a Mercedes, go rent a nice ass car. And if everybody's going to assume that if you're telling them advice, they're going to have a Mercedes, they're going to have the same desired outcome that you have. But you're not telling the real instructions of what you did. That's why the internet is dangerous. Because most of the time people don't give you the actual instruction. They just give you advice. And that's one of the toxic things that I've noticed about the red pill spear, the manosphere, is that there's a bunch of dudes giving advice. Stop giving advice because you're confusing the young people. And another thing people don't understand about when it comes to advice is that advice doesn't get you to the next step. Like, it's good for right then, that moment. But after you get past that next step, what do? How do you fine tune advice? You can't fine tune advice. There's no way to go about it because it's so general, so broad, and it's not even very specific to you. That makes it difficult. It makes it very difficult to know, how do I maneuver after I take this advice and do something. So this is why instructions are way more valuable. Instructions lead to education. Education leads to prosperity. Prosperity leads to a better life of abundance so you can go and help and educate other people. So instructions, the difference between instruction and advice is instructions give you a direct input to get a particular desired output. Now, this is very critical because this is the scientific method. This is math, which most people don't pay attention or study in. When you are getting instructions, if I tell you how to bake a cake, when I'm telling you how to bake a cake, I'm giving you proper instructions. Okay, you need to have this much milk, this much flour, this much thing. You need to spin it and shake it and mix it for this amount of time. Then you need to let it sit for this amount of time. I'm giving you very specific inputs. So at the end of the day, you get the cake that you were looking to create. Now, if the cake that you made from the instructions I gave you does not come out the way that it's supposed to, and you look back on the instructions I gave or the inputs, and you see that you did everything correctly and the cake came out wrong, you can then go back and say, okay, something in those instructions was incorrect. So let me tweak my instructions. Let me tweak my inputs to see if I get a desired output of what I particularly wanted. This is why instructions are so valuable, because it gives you a baseline by which to operate, which is the whole thing of the scientific method. And the scientific method is something that has been shit upon in our society because nobody takes science and math serious anymore. And because people don't take science and math serious anymore, we have a very huge deficiency in logic. So this deficiency in logic means people are making very bad choices because they don't know how to look at the inputs they're making, and they don't understand why they're getting the outputs they're having. So they keep looking for advice. They keep looking for people to just give them an easy cheat code. Well, look, if you want to make a cake, you got to put your heart and soul into it. What the fuck does that mean? That's usually when I hear advice, that's usually when I say, what the fuck does that mean? I don't understand what you're telling me. Give me instructions. How long should I bake the cake? How long should I mix? How much milk? How much flour? How much sugar? What do I need? Should I put chocolate in it? Do I want a chocolate cake? Do I want a vanilla cake? Do I want a strawberry? There is particular instructions and variables I have to account for. That's why when I talk to people, I wish to give you particular instructions on how to do what I do. So if you go and look at my course explains this is how you get the desired outcome. You want $500 a month, or not 500, 500 extra bucks a week? Here's how you do it. You go, you sign up to this thing. You go buy a power drill. You go do this. You go look for jobs here. This is what you do to get all this particular here, so forth and so forth. And if you do that correctly, you should get a particular output. Now, if you don't get that output, we can go back and look and say, okay, well, right here, it looks like you didn't sign up for this particular working thing. You didn't sign up for this particular power drill. You didn't sign up or look up, you didn't make the hours. I can go back and look over what you did to be able to correct and see how we can get desired output. And this is why so many people get bamboozled. People don't want instructions. Instructions are hard because they got to do stuff. And then there's that actual concrete input that you have. And so if you didn't do the input right, you got to look at yourself and say, damn, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So that's why I got what I got. But if you look at advice, you could just mess around and say, well, you know, things don't happen. It didn't work out. The universe, blah, blah. You can make excuses for yourself. Stop making excuses for yourself. Look for instructions. Stop listening to these people who are giving you advice. Advice doesn't help. Now you can look for principles. Principles are very valuable. There are certain principles that you should always put forth. Like put your money before girls, put your health before money, and put your mental health before your health. If you do all those things correctly, your life's going to turn out pretty well. Don't have raw sex without using a condom, or don't have raw sex with multiple partners that you're not very familiar with. Don't go steal and rob from people. These are all particular things that you should listen to because they're very valuable principles in life to help you get to where you want to go. Principles are very valuable. Advice, useless. Your advice is one of the most useless things in the world. That's why people say don't give unsolicited advice, because all you do is confusing people, making people mad. So listen, if you want some instructions, here's some instructions. Go to apexsapien.com, book a time, like, subscribe, share this video, reach out, talk to the homie. I'm the number one ninja in the fucking YouTube sphere. I'm trying to make sure you young men stop getting confused out here in reality. It's not that difficult if you understand 1 + 1.